Not to be confused with a 1984 comedy starring Bill Murray and the Sci-Fi Network series starring a couple plumbers and a cute brunette, which she's not on the show anymore, then why am I watching? It's Ghost Hunter, singular, for the PlayStation 2. Pfft, no Chris Williams, no Ghost Hunters!
Lazarus? Hey, you okay?
Of course. Yeah, just wish I knew what happened.
Okay, so you left me and then went down to the basement.
Don't move.
What are you doing?
I said don't move.
Now, this probably won't surprise you, but I was a GameCube guy, so I didn't have a PS2. And I didn't really keep up with all 12 million of its games. There were almost too many PS2 games. How'd you guys even manage that? We didn't have that problem with the GameCube, and we didn't have Ghost Hunter. This was a PS2 exclusive developed by one of Sony's internal teams and released in 2004, with hype as big as a 100-foot marshmallow man. Although I gotta tell you, this one's a bit melty. Speaking of Ghostbusters, that's basically the entire premise of Ghost Hunter. He plays a newbie cop named Lazarus. He's investigating this abandoned building when he stumbles across a strange room with a strange thing. And of course, he turns the thing on. Actually, he turns off the protection grid, basically. And, well, you know what happens next. Cue the Mick Smiley, because our prisoners have been released! So, Lazarus sets out to capture ghosts with an energy gun and a trap. And I'm not even kidding. Although, to be fair, they are a bit different. Lazarus has an actual gun, not a beam. And his trap is a so-called grenade. But all it really is a Ghostbusters trap turned into a boomerang. You throw it, it sticks on the ghosts, and if you can drain enough of their energy, the grenade sucks them up and it flies back to you. And that's awesome. That's the thing, there's so much about Ghost Hunter that's just awesome. The premise is fun, the graphics are spectacular for a PS2 game, even the voice acting is great. Lazarus is actually voiced by Rob Paulsen, who you might remember as Pinky from the Animaniacs, and more noticeably, Raphael from the original Ninja Turtles cartoon. So, not only is Lazarus cool, he's also crude.
You think you're worth that kind of effort?
Yeah, pretty much.
I look like a prankster? Go to work. 30.
Okay, 30 it is, partner. I look like a prankster. First time out I can step in one of Charlie's Angels. Jane Bond. Great.
So, listen, there's a lot to like about Ghost Hunter. I mean, I wanted to love this game, but the thing is, all that good stuff, it's hollow, because the game at the core of Ghost Hunter isn't nearly as interesting or well done. In fact, the scariest thing in this game is the camera, which really struggles to keep up with the action. Speaking of the action, though, that's probably where Ghost Hunters disappoints the most. Now, there are basically two elements to the gameplay, moving and shooting. You can run simply by holding down the X button, and when it's time to shoot, tap the circle button to bring out your gun. That's where things get clunky. See, Lazarus is really slow when his guns are out. And that's understandable, but a lot of the battles require movement. So you're constantly tapping buttons to switch between the run and combat modes. And it's just way too slow and cumbersome of a system. You know, one thing that kind of bothered me is the game's mood. It's like, it can't decide if it wants to be creepy and atmospheric or funny and lighthearted. I mean, you can do both. Ghostbusters did it flawlessly. But when Ghost Hunter tries it, it just comes across as confused and ineffective. There's no singular, coherent vibe here. Just disparate ideas that never really come together.
Don't take another step, please, Mr. Fancy Britches.
Okay, you just keep calm, ma'am. I'm a police officer.
Ghost Hunter was released to some seriously mixed reviews, but what it really comes down to is great style, disappointing substance. I mean, this isn't a bad game by any means, but when the style is this good, you kind of expect gameplay to match. Ghost Hunter never quite gets there, stuck instead in a kind of hazy limbo. Somewhere out there in the fog, you can see a great game, but with Ghost Hunter, you never quite get to it. Thanks to our friend Sean from Pacifica, California for sending it in.